Dive into the world of Chris Jack, the visionary behind Story, Cape Town's iconic clothing store that's redefining fashion narratives. Chris's passion for style and storytelling is woven into every single garment, making Story more than just a shop. It's an experience. With a keen eye for trends and a commitment to authenticity, Chris is crafting a legacy that goes beyond the rack. Join us as we go inside the tale of threads with the man who's dressing Cape Town with purpose. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro.
Yeah, thank you for doing this, bro. Looking forward to it, bro.
Yeah, likewise.
Bro, so I think a cool place to start is like, if we were watching, say, like a documentary on Story and, how everything was built, and where would that begin, bro? So maybe we can start from like a little bit of history on you.
Yeah.
It's like coming to a place of, where does apparel come into your life? Or let's go back of maybe even before apparel.
Well, I like to think of like Story being birthed as a kind of the end result of like my entire career life. I've done quite a few different things, all the way from starting DJing at like 17, being involved in the night industry, running nights with the Bang Bang Club with Sean Duvet, things like that.
Crazy.
And like, that's kind of where it all started for me, at least as a direct line to sneakers, which is ultimately how Story came about. But yes. I mean, it's a long story. But
let's go, bro. Let's go. And you're from Cape Town, right?
Yeah. Born and bred Cape Town. Family's from Durban, I guess. But I'm born and bred throughout Cape Town. So yeah, I guess like if we rewind things back to around 2007, I was living in Spain in a place called Salamanca and trying to learn Spanish. Can't say I got very far in that because as an 18-year-old kid with very little boundaries, ended up having a lot of fun. And part of that fun was spending a lot of time in clubs and falling in love with music.
What genre? I mean, were you like bumping? What was the music scene like there in Spain?
So it was very like techno focused.
Yeah.
I think like still is today, in those sort of underground spheres. But there was a DJ there. He was like the resident of I think it was called Morgano Club, Clint Morgano Club or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like the coolest club in Salamanca. And Salamanca was like a kind of like a Stellenbosch of Spain. So a lot of students, just crazy nightlife, not much sleep. And those were really good times. And I became closer with this guy and he taught me how to DJ. And then I decided this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, amazing.
And I came back to Cape Town. A good friend of mine at the time, he used to manage Flash Republic, Tim Smith.
I remember Flash Republic.
Republic, right?
Crazy.
Then Tomorrow Day, Craig Massive, rest in peace.
Yes.
Just such good times. Came back and Tim introduced me to Sean Duvet, and Sean was running the Bang Bang Club, which is one of the most iconic clubs in Cape Town. That's all that Cape Town's ever seen. And there was this opening to do like a student night or something like that. And I partnered with another buddy of mine, Nick Supply, back in the day.
Yes.
And we developed this student night called Get Dumb. So we were doing like everything from the creative for it to like arranging with like Golden Arrow to get buses to rock up at the Tugwell or whatever it's called, the reses and stuff in UCT. We were busing kids in to the Bang Bang Club every Wednesday for Get Dumb, which was the name of the night. And it was just pure carnage for a couple of years. And
predominantly techno and...
Well, it was a little embarrassed to say, but at that time, like the fidget scene was really big. Which was never like, if I'm really honest, it was never really my cup of tea. It was more Nick's.
Yes.
Nick was like producing a lot of that, and he made a really good name for himself in that.
Yeah.
And like we just, that was what kids wanted to hear. So we eventually sort of like migrated. It was quite a mix actually. It was kind of like fidget, a bit of break beats, a little bit of garage stuff now and then.
Yeah.
And then there would be like the quote unquote journey of music through the night into some more like techno orientated. Nick liked a bit of like uplifting sort of trance above and beyond kind of thing. So there was like this conversion point where all of that music kind of worked together, but it wasn't like too focused upon, like everyone was just drinking bottles of tequila and having a good time.
And what year is this, bro?
So that would be from 2008. So literally came back straight into this, developed the nights, ran that for, I want to say probably like 4 or 5 years, solid, sold out every single Wednesday. Man. It was incredible. And then obviously from having your own night and you're booking other DJs and stuff like that, like Ricardo da Costa and Roger and everyone, like all the Joburg guys, Steve Sorrell, with bringing them in, also kind of reciprocated that they'd take you to Joburg and to Durban. And we ended up playing some like really awesome gigs all over the country. The festival scene, all of that. So like from a DJ perspective, like things got reasonably successful as far as like a local career would go. And
what was the scene like here in Cape Town?
Scene was thriving.
Serious,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm so out of the loop these days, but I just, you know, we had incredible venues. The Fez was another one around 2010.
Yes,
so just in time for the World Cup, soccer. This place just went crazy. There was Opium, Chevelle. I mean, the clubs were just endless. And there was such a cool club culture. I don't really know how much of that exists today. I've like kind of extricated myself from the scene a couple of years ago to focus on other things, which we'll get into here, I'm sure. But it was a lot of fun, and it was just consistent. And you know, there was something happening every weekend, whether that was something outdoor or warehouse or just club. And I mean, Trinity was a massive club that really was kind of, I think, the pinnacle of how big clubs got, not just in terms of size. Remember, like Cape Town had a huge rave scene, like 90s, early 2000s, where a lot of that was happening, like Deep Riverside, 3 Arts, things like that, and those were huge. And then it went like kind of smaller into clubs, and then it started to go bigger, back to more of the outdoor festival kind of scene. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be involved and all of that. But as a result of that, I ended up working sort of full time with Sean Duvet, and we were developing like the bigger festivals, you know, can't remember what sort of year it would have been, but we were pitching on doing Deadmau5, which was the first time I think an electronic artist had ever, or of that scale. I remember EDM was blowing up in like the States, so to bring someone like Deadmau5 out here like hadn't been done before. And I just remember like sitting with old Mecca and trying to like sell them on this idea. They're like, who's this guy? But I was very involved in I guess while I was doing Get Done, I was also studying at AAA. Don't know how I managed to pull that off. But,
insane, really?
I got a degree from AAA in advertising and marketing communications, all of that. And I did a specialization in brand management. So that all kind of tied into me working in agencies and working with Anything Goes. So I would I had the know-how of pairing the brands from a sponsorship position into these events, which was the backbone of what I was doing. I kind of learned a lot from that side. Ended up working for a few different ad agencies in some capacity, but always sort of event or activation related. Did a lot of activations. Eventually hopped over to one of my suppliers at the time, Kilowatt AV, and joined them as creative director there for 5 years.
think I met you around that time, right?
Yeah. So I think the first time I actually met you was we were doing those Sky Elevated Experience parties.
Oh, crazy. Oh, that's a long time ago.
We did a show, and I always remember this now because we did a show at this brand new venue in Joburg, and the venue was crazy. It was like the third level somewhere. Can't quite remember where it was, but I remember we had AKA playing. We had you. We had Ricky, Rick.
Crazy. Rest in peace.
This is crazy. Rest in peace. Yo, that's mad to think, actually.
That's insane. I remember that. There was a Sky Lounge, like a rooftop thing or something like that.
Yes,
it was like
exactly.
Really cool venue.
So we had this deal with Sky Vodka that we would do these elevated experiences, which were the wildest parties. And we would do them in each city. So Cape Town, we did like Cape Town Stadium. We even did one. We did one at the stadium in Durban, which was definitely one of the wilder experiences.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we knew what we were getting into. We were giving people free booze for 8 hours and free
That's
everything,
crazy.
And people just went mad. And we got some crazy stories from there, but probably best left in memory. And I think so. That Joburg show was the first time I think I had ever heard of the infamous beatboxer.
Yeah, crazy. Wow, it's a different life, right?
At
different
that time. Yeah.
But I love that, you also got that club background. I also came from promoting shows to then eventually owning a club in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Except in like just a completely different genre, hip hop, and like we had this club called Sway in Sandton. It was like 400 packs. It was like this little club, and it ended up doing more champagne out this 400 packs club than any other venue, at that time. But it's
just straight in the
just
culture.
A different world, different culture, different thing. But it's really cool. I think there's so many lessons in it, like promoting shows. I think there's just something about that, like consistent every Thursday or every Saturday or whatever it is, that you start building this community and you like see similar faces coming in and it's almost like curating that night and that space, and then you do different nights and spin-offs on different nights. And I think there's so much of the lessons I learned and a lot of the people I was dealing with in brand that time, the brand manager of this beer, of that beer.
Yeah.
Now all of them are like running these brands and have jumped around from company to company. And so it's really amazing to see. I think it's such an important time.
Yeah.
Going through that.
So many spin-offs from that. Like, like you can go so many different places
100%.
Just with the people that you've curated in the space.
100%.
And, I mean, I get to get back on the timeline. I was at Kilowatt now and I was producing like massive shows, not just from like events, like party events, but a lot in like that sort of financial medical sector, and focusing a lot around like really pairing brands or businesses with technology in terms of what the output of a show would be. So not just like stage design, but making sure that our team was executing on specific like coloration or visuals or whatever, so that if you walked into like a Pfizer show or whatever, you would know it's Pfizer by the coloring or by certain design elements within stage or all of those kind of things.
Was it difficult, like the technical side of that? How did you just pick it up quickly, or what was your role?
I mean, I had a seriously strong team at Kilowatt that were the top in their field with those specific things, and we always worked together as a team on every single project. We would have guys who were like focused on like renders, and I would have input on that, and like this is what I need this thing to look like.
Gotcha.
And then we would have like engineers who'd be like, okay, well,
this is what's possible.
This is what's actually realistic.
Yeah.
And I learned quite a lot there because, a lot of the times you go into agencies and, like especially big agencies, they come up with these ideas, which are like, they're incredible ideas, but they are not even remotely realistic, let alone for the budget they have.
100%. That's usually
the problem. So like, as a result of like continuously going through this process and then having learned a lot of like the technical knowledge and also gear availability in this country, the knowledge of what's there and venues and rigging and all of that kind of stuff, put me in a position where I was able to advise very quickly for certain brands or agencies of what is realistic, and like, let's not waste time, and let me present you realistic options instead of the other way around.
100%,
So then I was developing concepts based on realistic ideas to brands, and almost like pitching them the work instead of them pitching us the work to see if we were able to do it. And that created like a very, very interesting space for me, because like before I know it, I like won the pitch on this Philip Morris, the launch of IQOS, their sort of heat not burn, vapey kind of thing with tobacco. They wouldn't want me to call it a vape, but kind of like that. And we did the launch for this thing, and like this really just kind of set the path of what it was I wanted to do. I was like, I don't need to do all of these smaller shows throughout the year where I'm just like completely rinsing myself the whole time. I could possibly focus on like 4 shows a year that are like massive scale, like that particular show was, with big budgets and big ideas, and a lot of work goes into something like that. And I just I like found my niche in that. And after like a lot of thought, I basically decided like I'm going to go freelance from just be a sort of conceptual creative in this technical space. And I did that, and I had like quite a few different shows from like, I think like it was a massive conference which didn't eventually happen, I'll tell you why now. But like things for Amex, things just like more shows that I would be creatively interested in doing stuff, and doing stuff that was just like wow factor at all costs. So not the run-of-the-mill conference or whatever. That's like pretty taxing most of the time, especially in the corporate or financial medical sector. It can get hell of a boring. And I was just doing the cool shows. And I guess the long story short of that is I was doing that for 6 months, and then COVID rocked up.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
And all of a sudden, obviously, large shows and events were the first to take the knocks. So in a week I had every single contract dry up. At the same time, which I've now forgotten about. Sorry if this is sounding really confusing, but there's a lot of tangents to this process.
Go back, but jump timelines.
At the same time, on the side, and when I decided to go freelance, I was also creating content as a passion project called Sneaker Stories. And with Sneaker Stories started as an Instagram page of me reviewing sneakers that I had in my collection. And this also goes back to DJing, because I used to be sponsored by Adidas in like 2010. We did a DJ tour, and there was a couple of other DJs on it, and we were all able to go get.
Do you remember your first pair?
Yes. Yeah. It was
of Addies.
The first pair of Addies was a top 10 low.
Nice.
And then it was a Star Wars edition.
Still
got it. Still unworn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is what actually started sneakers for me, because I got to go to their office at Black River Park and walk into the sample room. And because I was part of this tour from a production point of view as well, not just a DJ, I was like picking up the shoes for the other DJs. And I was like,
could be honest,
two for me, one for you. I think Roger Good ended up with like 1 pair, and I got like 5. So this is like we were the same size, so I was just like portioning off apparel and shoes.
So is that where your, like, would you say your love for sneakers started then?
Well, from a collectability perspective. It did, because it was that Star Wars pair, because it came in this like crazy packaging that was like a heat seal over the shoes with a slide out. I just never, the reason I still haven't worn them is just they were too good to wear. Like I didn't want to like take it out of the packaging, and I never wanted to get rid of them because they were too cool. And back then, I would buy like maybe 2 or 3 pairs of shoes at a time and then beat the hell out of them, and then I would buy new ones and give those other ones away. But that Star Wars pair, that top 10 line, there was a pair of Gazelles, and there was like a Campus Mid.
Yes, yeah.
All apart from the Gazelles, I have the other 2 pairs.
Crazy, man.
Still today. And yeah, so that was going on in the background. I was making content for Sneaker Stories, and Sneaker Stories was growing. And then I started doing content with Adidas and with other brands.
And this is something you just loved, right?
This
so
was just a passion thing.
You want to tell these stories about the sneakers and...
Yeah, so like when you live in South Africa, you're very, very, very far away from product.
Yeah.
Like when I say product, I mean like top tier product. Like we get maybe 1/10 of what's released in the rest of the world from footwear brands.
Crazy.
We're just not we're not, I guess, a serious enough market.
Okay, is that why?
So yeah, it's like our territory just doesn't command the kind of product that you're getting in Europe and the States. Yeah. So like the real like tier 0 stuff from Nike, like if that's Travis Scott's or whatever, you just don't see it at retail level here. So what that means is that a lot of people have to import this stuff.
Yeah.
But when you import stuff, one, you're paying double the price for it almost.
Can you take us through that tax? So like, if you can give me an example.
Yeah, 100%. So you buy something at like $100 or whatever, or just call it 1,000 rand, retail level. So you go on a website, use, I don't know, Stadium Goods, for example.
Yeah.
You buy $100 shoe. So your costs begin immediately there. $100, whatever the conversion rate is the bank is giving you. Then, depending on your banking, you're probably going to get charged a transaction fee on that as well.
Yeah.
Then you've got a shipping fee that Stadium Goods is going to be charging you. So that's, I mean, to South Africa, like most people that import stuff know to never use local post, because either you will never see it or it's going to take like 3 to 6 months to get to.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So,
man.
Pro tip, if anyone's listening, only ever use a courier. So that's FedEx, DHL, UPS, TNT, whichever one. As long as it's a tracked courier service, you're in good hands. But you're going to pay for it. So you're looking at like 2,500 rand for shipping, like with DHL, minimum. And then so now that 1,000 rand is 3,500 rand with a transaction fee, maybe 3,700 rand. For example, now that shoe has just landed in South Africa, and SARS is going to be like, cool, provide an invoice for that, and their invoice will include the shipping amount as well. So now you're going to get taxed on the 3,700 whatever amount. They're going to take 45% as a customs duty. There will be a 10% disbursement levy. So now you're like 55% already. 15% VAT on top of that, and then a flat fee for DHL for handling the process. So by the time you come, like my general like estimates is 78% is what you need to calculate at minimum to understand what that product is going to land in this country for.
That is madness.
Madness. So the point of that story is that a lot of people, especially with footwear, you buy something online, you can't return it. Not to another country. It's not going to be feasible.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to let people know, because I had all these like rad collectible shoes, like what the sizing was like what the like material makeup of the shoe was. You know, like some people aren't into pigskin for like religious reasons, but the brands won't tell you that they use pigskin in the shoes. So like I would dig that deep into like the makeup of shoes. And
what's your catalog looking like sneaker wise at this point?
At this point, it's probably, I mean, it's still very unhealthy, but it's a lot healthier than it used to be. Mostly because I had my son was born recently, and my sneaker room became his bedroom, so I needed to relocate some shoes to the store. So I've actually sold quite a few pairs, to be honest. But we're probably still north of like 600.
Got you.
Somewhere there.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
So when you're doing sneaker stories, what's your catalog looking like then at that point?
So there, like, we'd probably be pushing 1,000 plus. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So and you're doing these, like, is it like when you can? Is it once a week? Are you trying to be consistent with it?
Yeah,
Was the page growing?
When it started, it was a weekly episode that would happen on Sundays. So I would start filming Friday, and I would do crazy shit. I would like hike a mountain and like wear test a pair of like Parley Ultra Boosts, and then I would clean them afterwards, and that was all part of the content. So like how to clean your shoes, and like are these shoes really good for hiking or not, or whatever. Or yeah, like I'd always try to come up with something like interesting that was like, I guess, appealing for the viewer. And I taught myself everything from like videography, editing, like Premiere Pro, all of that stuff. So I was already learning a lot there, learning a lot around photography, things like that. And it was all a passion project. So there was nothing that was taxing at all. It was like, this is amazing. I think my wife wasn't just like, because like all my time was just going into like doing this, but I was so happy. I was just like, this is so rad. And I think you can, if you roll back on sneaker stories on the YouTube to like the earlier content, you'll really feel that. You'll see what a passionate motherfucker looks like, bro.
Yeah.
Because
that
was me. And like the production just got better and better and better. And then after I like left Kilowatt to do freelance, I had a lot more time. And the next thing I was like booked by ASICS for like 2 campaigns in Tokyo, and
crazy,
I was doing stuff there. I was like going to Dubai for Soul DXB and like shooting vlogs and stuff like that for that. And then doing a lot of launch content for shoes. And that was also like the heyday of shoes, like that 2016 or like 2015 to basically 2019.
Is that page still live?
Peak. Yeah, it is. So it's I mean, the YouTube got to like, I think like 14,000 subscribers or whatever, and that was like 2 years ago. And yeah, at that COVID time, that's all I was doing. I was just making content.
Crazy, man.
Even though like the budget from Addy and everything had disappeared, I had no income, dude. Zero income. The only income I had was selling shoes. And so like I had to box pretty smart.
So what's the first sneaker you sell? Is this like, do you sell throughout your sort of career, even as a DJ, or is this something you start doing at this point?
I had never sold a shoe until
crazy
COVID.
Bro. Are you serious? Okay, so talk me through that. How does that happen?
So yeah, I guess like I was in a pretty dark space, like, you know, like all your income has disappeared in the space of a week.
Yeah.
Whether that's through sneaker stories or through events or anything. And it was a big like, fuck, like this is pretty serious. Like, you know, like you can get by, but for how long? And I really like, I needed to find another way to live. And I'd always had this idea that I wanted like some kind of fashion or sneaker store to some degree. But I never really knew how to do it. I hadn't worked in retail before. Like, I mean, sales is sales, like selling shows and whatever.
Yeah.
I knew that it was possible. I knew that I had a good like attention for detail. Like I knew brands very, very well, but the actual ins and outs of retail was quite an overwhelming thing, especially because, you know, you can't just go and open a retail store. Like having, you know, contracts with brands and allocation to product is an incredibly difficult thing to achieve, especially if you're just, you know, fish out of water, and you don't have any backing. You need a lot of capital. You need all of those kind of things. So I was thinking like through the content I was producing, like I would make all of this content for people to watch, but I wouldn't necessarily make R1 off that content. Like, sure, there would be ad revenue, and that's what was coming in, and not a lot of it. You know, you've got to be doing serious views on YouTube to, you know, create a living out of doing it. You know, you need some serious views. So if it was like a couple of grand a month or whatever, like that was good. But with the content, like what I realized is that if I was getting 100,000 views on this and I'm not able to find a way to monetize that, either because it's just a pair of shoes that I've bought myself, like I'm not getting paid by a brand to do that. But all of these 100,000 people, there's maybe like, I don't know, let's be conservative and say that there's 100 of them that want to buy that shoe now. They've made their mind up and they're like, cool, like you've sold me. I want to go. Yeah. Where do they go to buy it? So I would recommend other stores, like websites like maybe StockX or whatever, and I had videos on how to buy on StockX. For those of you that don't know what StockX is, it's a global marketplace that specializes in shoes, and they authenticate the product and actually do everything now. They do watches, handbags, technology stuff. Can even buy like Vision Pro on there. So the other day, really? Stanley water bottles, all the new rage. P.S. We're dropping our Stanley water bottles.
And are people reaching out to you to like, hey, are you selling? Are you like...
Yeah, like they would want to buy mine, but like I would always point them to the source of where I got it.
Yes.
I was like, the aha moment was like, let's close the loop on the content. Yeah. And if I can create a store that is safe, trustworthy because of my, I guess, persona on YouTube or whatever, like I had garnered that relationship with my viewers just naturally anyway, that if I created the marketplace that they could purchase from, then I'm finally going to make something from making this content.
I love that.
By, selling the item. So yeah, this is peak COVID. Literally, I mean, side note, I also had a tumor in my spine at the same time. We won't go too deep into that, but then I was out for 6 months. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. I had like crazy surgeries. It was a clusterfuck, to say the least.
It's crazy.
I came out of that and I was like, fuck it, bro. Gonna roll the dice.
Make it happen.
And every single person was like, you are crazy. It's like, well, you can't launch. Like the world is falling apart. Like,
and you're launching a sneaker store,
you physical store. This. And I was like, listen, I know enough about what I'm doing to make like a real good go at this. And yeah, we opened the store. I'd seen the space in Burkop when I was freelancing. Yeah. I was looking for like an office space at that time, and I was like, wow, this is a really, really cool place, but I couldn't afford it at the time. And went back there, had a discussion with the landlord, and he was like, cool, let's do it. Let's make a store here where there are no other stores or anything. And yeah, I opened December 2020, and it really just took off. When we opened, it was with, a couple of, I think we had like 6 or 7 sellers that were all friends of mine that I knew were sitting on a lot of stock. And they all put their stock into the store. So Story ultimately is a consignment store. So we don't buy any stock. Everything is on consignment.
Genius.
Yeah. With no like capital outlay.
Did you consciously sort of strategize that and come up with, I mean, we don't have, what would it cost off the top of your head to fill a store like that if you were going straight to brand?
I mean, right now, if we were to fill that, 30 to 50 million.
That's insane. Yeah. And so you come up with this idea. How do you figure out the name?
Story?
Yeah.
So Story comes from Sneaker Stories.
Got you. Makes sense.
So Sneaker Stories was named because every shoe has a story behind it. Like from whether it's the design process or material makeup. There's a backstory to every single shoe that's created. Like somebody who was designing that shoe, it wasn't a computer, it was someone formulated why that shoe is going to do that. Especially collab product, that's when stories are often explored a lot further. But to be chilling in South Africa and not have that brand active in your territory, you're never going to know that story unless there's someone like me who's going to tell you, okay, this pair of Saucony sneaker politics, this is based on a beignet from whatever, the Café du Monde bakery, and it's got the dusting on the top. Yeah. Like you just seen that shoe on the street, you don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Like the box colors is like the same colors as the awnings outside the store in New Orleans. Like just little tidbits like that. which for me just makes me fall in love with product, because I'm
Absolutely.
like, man, I'm transported right to this place.
Everything, though, right? With the
Just
good
everything.
story and like,
Everything.
I love that, man.
And so that's why I ended up calling it Story, is that every product that we sell has a story behind it. Whether it's a t-shirt, like if it's this gallery department or whatever, like the process that they use to make this garment, or like the different logos they use have different meanings. You know, every product that we sell, we don't sell any run-of-the-mill like boring stuff. There's nothing in that store that you can buy at retail level in South Africa. Everything is hyper curated. It's like everything has a purpose, everything has a story, and that can be from an ashtray to a pair of socks. Like,
I love that.
We only go for the good ones.
So, bro, take me back. So now you call up 6 of your mates. So you've obviously got friends, and you're connecting with people in the city, I would imagine, and throughout South Africa that are like, you know, collecting as well. So you guys basically come together, and you have enough stock to fill your first store.
Just. If you go back on Story's Instagram page, you'll have to do a lot of scrolling, but you'll see what the store looked like when it opened, which is, to be honest, still my favorite aesthetic of that store, because it was super, super minimal.
Really?
And like all the shoes would face side on the shelves.
Oof.
It was popping. It was like, when I look at those photos, I'm like, we need a bigger store so we can like achieve this again.
Yeah.
And if you look at the store now, while it still carries the same aesthetic, we got to be like 20 times the size. Like
Crazy.
In the same space, we've literally maximized every possible square inch of space.
I wanted to ask you, when you started, you just had the downstairs, and then did you just sort of creep up? And
it's quite crazy.
Yeah.
So when we started, it was just the downstairs and a bathroom. And
crazy.
Like our stockroom was, I'm not even exaggerating, it was the size of this table.
Yeah.
And we had a table half the size in there because we were working from it. So half of this table was our stockroom. So we had to get super creative in how we were storing stock, because you've also got to worry about things like security and stuff like that as well.
Of course, yeah.
Like, you can see in our storeroom, even if you go there today, there are holes that are drilled in the wall from a partition that was up like in our space. And then you can see when we were able to take more space, where the next set of holes are. And then you can see another set. And then before we knew it, we've got the whole building.
That's part of your story, you know?
Like it is the most amazing like experience to be part of a business that grows on that kind of trajectory, and also like the blessing to have a landlord that's allowed us to grow on our own sort of terms. Man. You know, Story's business has never, you know, I've never wanted to like risk anything when it comes to like people's product, because ultimately you don't own the stuff. You know, these are people that have trusted you to sell their personal items, and you're responsible for that at the end of the day. And you know, like it's like don't fuck with people's stuff. Like don't take money from Peter and pay Paul kind of scenario. 100%. I've seen this happen in our industry before.
Yeah.
You know, a consignment business does not rely on cash flow if you're smart. It's a money in, money out scenario. So how consignment works is you would come to me, ask me to sell something, we would authenticate the product that it's 100% legit, we would sell it, and once it's sold, we pay you out your payout portion that you requested for the item.
Can you give me an example of that, bro? So if I've got, and can anyone come to you with like rare items or specific people you're taking from, or can I, you know?
Yeah, so we, anyone can come as long as you have a, you know, product that fits within our realm of offering and curation.
Yeah.
I mean, all you really have to do is rock up to the store, say, hey man, I want to sell this. And then our
Amazing.
team will take you through absolutely everything, like our fee structures, things like that. And it's a very, very simple process. Like, I mean, we have now well north of 500 sellers from all over the world.
Crazy, man.
So we've got guys from Switzerland to Germany, lots in London, lots in the States that are sending us product regularly.
Yeah.
Also consigners from Joburg, of course. And when with those particular sellers, they're generally like, this is what they do for a living. Like
Gotcha.
all they're doing is purchasing in-demand product because they have access to it through one way or another.
Yeah.
And they're sending it to us and we handle the rest. So
Amazing.
the minute that product arrives with us, we're authenticating it, making sure it's 100% legit.
And what is that process, bro?
So that process is, I mean, it's different depending on what the garment is.
Yeah.
So if it's a t-shirt, depending on the brand, we've got like our own guides of what we look out for. Most of the time with like fake t-shirts or whatever, you can tell very, very quickly if something's not to scratch. We're very used to different material qualities from certain brands, so we know exactly what a Supreme t-shirt should be, how the collar should be, what the label should be, what barcodes they should be, ENs and UPCs, all of those.
Can you give us like a few things to look out for that are like quick giveaways, like
quick
easiest
giveaways,
way, like on a tee maybe?
Quick giveaways
and
is always the tag.
Okay.
The tag is one of the hardest things for fake companies to get 100% right. And it might be a perfect label, but the way it's sewn in will be like funky. It won't be like in between like layers. It would just be like stitched through the t-shirt. So you'll see the stitching on the back. Like other things like stitching underneath the hems and stuff like that can be way off. Print is also another thing. We've seen lots of fake like Bape stuff, lots of fake Stussy, Supreme. You can, because we like surrounded by product all the time, we can see a fake and an original right next to each other. And
immediately
like, you can literally just tell like that print is completely different.
Got you.
Like the finish on it. Remember, all of this stuff is made together at once, like it's production lines.
Yeah.
And so one screen print is going to be the same screen print
across
for that, like that cycle, you know. And I don't know, like we've like embroidery is another thing that's always different. It's always an easy one to go for. And then with footwear, you've got so many things to look for. We get a lot of fake pairs. Even from like authentic sellers,
Serious,
like guys that have been duped on like buying from Grailed or Goat or something like that.
Got you.
And they've passed an authentication there, but and when they arrive, I mean, we had a pair of Travis Scotts come in last week from an authentic seller, and there was just something not right with that box. Like when you see corrugation on a box, which is little lines, it's like, that for me is always a dead giveaway. And it's like, okay, that's set an alarm bell off. Now we keep looking. You look at the shoes, and to be honest, the shoes look pretty damn good.
Wow,
but
really?
I would say they were probably like 98% there, like to an authentic pair. But then as soon as you lift up the insole, you'll notice like the glue pattern on the insole is completely wrong. So it's things like that.
Wow, so it's that deep of detail.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll go into like stitch lines, because the fake companies have got really good, like really good on certain pairs. So they'll invest, like if it's a pair that they're going to see high returns on, they'll go like hard to make like a 1-to-1 fake.
Gotcha.
But that's why you've got to look at like, there's about 20 different points that you can look at on a shoe to make sure that you've got something legit. And if ever we're not sure, we use a third party app called Check. And we'll just pay for that service on behalf of the seller, just to make sure that we're good, because ultimately that's our job at the end of the day, to ensure to our customer that they're only buying authentic items.
Which pair you said it was the Travis Scott's, eh?
Yes, this was a Travis Scott Jordan 1 Olive.
I know everyone at home with your Travis Scott's right now. You're worried, and you should be. Take a trip to Story.
Plenty of those floating around.
Wow, that's crazy. And then, bro, just back to that consignment. I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So if I bring you a sneaker, pair of Jordans, lovely pair, you love them, you're like, cool. You take secondhand as well, very specifically. I think I've asked you this question before in person.
When we opened, we were doing pre-owned footwear as well.
Yeah.
Because at that point, like we were, every shoe we had in there was like pure heat, and it's still like that now. But like the way the sneaker like world has moved, there's a lot more releases happening. There's a lot more dunks. There's like 600 different colors of dunks that we have, something ridiculous. So we have a lot more volume of shoes.
Yes.
So we've kind of pulled back on pre-owned, but also just as an understanding of what our customers truly want. And while we do have customers that would appreciate pre-owned footwear, like me myself, like I'm completely down for a pre-owned shoe. Like you're going to be saving 30-40% straight off the bat. It's like a car. It's like driving it off the floor and buying it next day. You're going to be, the depreciation from a pre-owned pair. And remember, like pre-owned doesn't mean it's a beat pair of shoes.
100%. I wanted to say that.
It means the homie came and bought it, like took some photos of it for the gram, and then he's like, nah, over it.
Exactly.
Or he wanted to wear it for a special occasion or whatever.
100%.
No, he doesn't want it. He wants something else. So he wants to sell it. So like
it's a demo model if you're speaking cars, you know?
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. So
Yeah.
any pre-owned shoe that we have, like at Story, that shoe's basically brand new. But at a reduced price. So we scaled back on the pre-owned purely because we just did not have the space to be taking in pre-owned, but also with the understanding that our customers were preferring brand new shoes. Like they would see a pre-owned, even though if that shoe was brand new.
Really,
like to me and you, like that thing is 100% new. But the fact that it had a tag on it that said pre-owned, no deal, bro. So like, it's like as a business owner looking at that, I was like, okay, like even if you explain to the customer, like, look, dude, this thing's just been tried on, but because of our like transparency in our store, we cannot say that is a dead stock new shoe. Like it has been worn at least once. So like, you're always going to get that from us. We're never going to just throw like a new label on it. Like that's just not how we roll.
Yeah, I love that.
We're very transparent when it comes to stuff like that.
And that's the same Popeye who would not even know.
Yeah. Dude, 100%. Like if that had a new tag on it, he was taking it home, no matter what the price was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we will take pre-owned items in if we know that there's a high like probability of it selling. But if it's, something lower down the hype spectrum or whatever, that's not going to, it's just going to sit there and grab dust, then we wouldn't do it.
So I bring you my sneaker. And then how do you guys figure out the sort of price, sort of market value? And if I'm reselling to you, let's say, and I bought it overseas or wherever, let's say the pair, I paid 3,000. I come in and I say, Chris, I'd love to get 4K for it. You basically take that sneaker and put like a bit of a markup on top.
Yeah.
For the marketing, the images, probably like a 20%, I would imagine, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then you put it up on the store, you market it, you get the product sold. Everybody goes home with what they get.
100%. So yeah, you would pull up. Either the seller will know what they need out for it.
Gotcha.
So they'll be making, I don't know, call it like 500 rand, or depending on what the shoe or the product is, obviously.
Yes.
They would also need to consider like what their cost was on that item, because you get a lot of scenarios where people are buying at resale and then reselling.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. Okay. So like products, like certain product values can go up and down, given a whole bunch of like external environmental factors. Like Travis Scott's now bugging with CDGs. CDGs up. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, they want to go for that. So like they either know their price, and if we do feel that price is too unrealistic, then we will advise otherwise, or we just won't accept the shoe. Because sometimes you do get people that they think they're sitting on gold, but they got like a gold-plated copper bar there, you know. And we really do know like what something is worth. And in some cases we might have an item, you know, a lot of people will like look at our website and say like, oh my God, you've got like a 200,000 Rand pair of shoes, like such a rip-off. And it's like, well, that's like one of 40 Louis Vuitton Virgil Air Force One. Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, get out of here.
You needed to be invited to buy that shoe.
Get out of
like,
there, yeah.
That's what it is. And in that case, we're looking at a global market value.
Yeah.
So we'll look at what the global market value is like, and that would be from StockX, which is the fairest global price valuation that you can get, because their system works on the lowest amount someone's willing to sell and the highest amount someone's willing to pay. So you will get that middle conversion point of exactly what the market value of that shoe is. Willing buyer, willing seller, that is the fairest price.
Okay, so it's tracking demand.
Yes,
and
it's tracking it across like not just their own sales, it's tracking it from other big players like eBay and stuff like that as well. So that is the best way to understand what the value today is of that particular shoe. And if you're a seller, you would need to consider like what the fees would be to sell that, the shipping, whether there's import duties, and that will all inform what the final selling price will be.
Got you.
So we'll always advise if something's like drastically out. And we also obviously have a lot of products within our system already. So that is sort of the price guide for what something is in our store. So we decide on a price. Then once that product is authenticated, we have our in-house studio as well. We do all of our own product photography, all of our content creation. Everything is done.
You have a great team, man. I love your team.
The team is incredible. I've been blessed to have some insane guys come through the doors at Story, and we just continue to grow. Very, very, very happy with where the team is at right now. We've just taken on 3 new guys now as well.
Congrats,
at the start of this year, and they're all bangers.
How many in your team now?
We are, I think we're 8 full-time and 5 full-time, 3 part-time at the moment. Yeah.
Amazing, man.
Yeah. And then we have external providers.
Yeah. I love that. So how you were able to turn something around like that, bro. I mean, and I love hearing your journey, because it's like it makes so much sense. I mean, I walked into the store, I see the way you did the sign, and I was like, who did this for you? You're like, no, I did it myself. But I mean, man has a history with lighting, Kilowatt design,
like
so
set building.
Kilowatt
built that whole store.
Crazy, really.
In COVID. Yeah.
I love that, man. And the connections you've made along the path, and it's beautiful to see, man. You genuinely have the hottest store in the city. Undoubtedly, it's definitely my favorite store, bro. You know, I'm always
really
there
appreciate that, man.
Pop in whenever I can. And I love something I've said to you. I love that everything in the store is for sale. It drives me crazy walking into stores and things aren't for sale. I'm like, oh, I want that. And they're like, no, that's like the owner's collector piece that he keeps in the glass. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Don't
like,
put it in the store,
then don't put it in the store. Put it in the owner's house, man.
Everything in that store.
And I love that. And I love
everything.
the detail, the staff. You know, I got to see upstairs the last time I was there, and how neat your storeroom is, and how you've curated everything from storeroom to the actual space. I want to ask you, what happened to when your Instagram went down?
Sure, that was a real test of tenacity.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, we obviously sell or resell rather some Fear of God essentials as a brand, and this is a fascinating story, and this is the only time that I have ever praised someone while suing them at the same time. But to give you some background on that, there's a company based out of Spain called Red Points, and Red Points is literally, for me, this is one of the greatest companies I've ever come across in my life. What Red Points is an AI company that specializes in content or IP protection for content for brands. So if you're a brand and you are having a problem, in this particular case, it was fear of God. And I can say that now because it's happened and they've said sorry and whatever. What they were trying to achieve was, Fear of God's one of the most faked brands in the world right now.
Crazy.
So the counterfeit product is a massive problem for a brand like that.
Wow.
Totally understand it. And what they've done is they have, or my understanding of it at least, what they've done is they have signed up with this Redpoint's company, and Redpoint's AI or algorithm or whatever you want to call it basically scours social networks for instances where their content has been used
without the copyright.
And exactly.
Gotcha.
Now, where it was an issue for us is that we don't use anybody's content other than our own.
Yeah.
We've invested crazy money into shooting every one of our own product photos, from a t-shirt to a pair of socks or whatever. We create everything ourselves because I know, having some kind of background in content creation and advertising, that you can't just use someone's stuff without permission. And we don't have any direct relationship with Fear of God, but our sellers bring in authentic Fear of God stuff that they've purchased at retail level, and they're now reselling it through our store. We're a marketplace at the end of the day, and that's exactly what we're doing. But because our product photo was so damn good, this Redpoint software flagged it as something that of Fear of God. And because it's a computer and not a human doing reviews, it's an AI that's reading an image, flagging it as Fear of God's image, because a product photo of a t-shirt on a flat lay is a product photo of a t-shirt of a flat lay.
100%,
You can, especially when it's just got a bold essentials written across the front.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty easy for a computer to assume that they're the same. So I get that. But what the issue is here is Redpoint software then talks to Instagram or Meta's software, and it creates a flag.
Flags a report to
Flags
say
a report.
They don't have permission to use our content.
Exactly. Then I'm notified saying you violated the terms of whatever, and I'm saying no, I haven't. And in the space of a minute, the software was already making its way through our Instagram. So then it found 2 other examples of essentials. So that's 3 strikes before you've even had a chance to reply. The next thing, it's an automated process that Meta has now with Redpoints, that it's a takedown of the page. So before you've even and this happened at flipping 3:00 in the morning on a Friday or something.
Crazy.
And before you knew it, it's gone. 3 years of ad investment, content investment, everything gone. And further proof is that you don't own your content online. Something like that can happen, and you can lose everything. So then I started to dig into it, and I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on here? We've just lost everything. And as a small business, a fair chunk of our audience comes from Instagram. That's
100%,
our most curated social media output. And to have that all disappear, it's this is a bit of an issue.
And it's not like you're using an image of some famous artist that you don't have permission to use.
No.
This is a product that is bought legally, that people own, whether you own them or the people, with the consignment stock own them. This is official owners that own product that are allowed to take photos of their product.
Yeah. 100%.
And are allowed to resell their product if you want to. I own it. I can do what I want with it.
100%. And so after contacting our ads person at Meta, and I was explaining the situation, I'm like, we have violated nothing.
Yeah.
And they were like, sorry, your account has gone. There's nothing we can do. We cannot reverse it. And I was just like, no.
And this is Meta. So you write to the guys on Facebook. You say
but going through the only way that you can actually contact someone is through your ad account. But even then, it's most of the time it's a computer replying to you.
Yeah.
which is the most infuriating thing in the world, especially when you're trying to solve something with haste to get back up. So all of our ads that were running, like everything just ceased with immediate effect.
Crazy.
I eventually managed to get hold of someone at Red Points, and they were like, look, you have violated the terms. And I'm like, no, I haven't. Anyway, we like 2 months of back and forth.
Crazy, man.
I eventually consulted a law firm, like they do like licensing law, massive firm in Pretoria.
Yeah.
And the only reason I knew about that is that this had actually happened to other businesses in South Africa.
Yes.
Big businesses as well.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that actually put me in touch with the law firm, and I spoke to them and they said, listen, it's going to cost a whole bunch of money. But what we will do is just put you kind of in touch. They kind of like ushered me in the right direction of how to solve this. And I did that and started with the the subtle threats to Red Points. Yeah. Because at this point now we're 3 months in and we're suffering like income loss here.
Crazy.
And all as a result of them, ultimately. We had broken no rules.
Violations and
And then they were like, okay. And then they said, okay, but you need to then prove that you were selling authentic items. I'm like, I can. I've got receipts for everything. Literally. And they're like, cool, show us the receipts and we'll reverse the claim. It's like, here they are. Like side by side. This image, receipt. This image, receipt. Like we got nothing. Like we broke no rules. We've done nothing. Like you need to understand that we've literally violated nothing. And eventually they accepted that. And this is when I was like, this is such an amazing business, but I hate you at the same time. Because like I understand why they were doing it, and they were trying to like cut down counterfeit sellers.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I was just so like aggravated because, you know, there's someone selling fake essentials on Takealot right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are you not hitting these guys?
Yeah,
You're actually
100%.
selling the fake instead of, you know, guys who are like.
So the essentials on Takealot are all fake.
100% fake.
That's I wanted to ask you about that because like, how is this possible? Like, there's been fake Yeezy on Takealot. There's been fake Travis on Takealot. Travis on Takealot.
There's no checks and balances on Takealot. You can be any third party seller, from what I know, and just sell whatever you want on that thing.
That's wild.
Which is crazy. Same thing as One Day Only. There was like it was an essential sale.
That's like, crazy, man.
Yeah, it's intense. But eventually, I was like sitting at Vasco's on a Friday with some friends at about 6 p.m. and I got an email from Meta saying, we are very sorry. We made a mistake. Here's your account back. That was it.
Incredible, man. But it's so good, man. You just, you know, how many people would just turn around there and go, let's start from scratch, you know, and
eventually
it happens to you again. And
if
again,
I'm honest, like, I mean, I'd started a backup page already and I was like, I don't think we're going to win here.
Yeah.
And at that point, it had actually happened. It had happened to about like 10 to 15 other stores like us around the world.
Crazy.
So guys all the way from Manila to New York, everyone, all gone. So then they all started reaching out to me. It's like, how do you solve it?
Amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. You know, it's like,
yeah. So if you ever are in that
situation,
your best bet, and this is a little pro tip, is ip@fb.com. Those are the guys you need to deal with.
Got you.
They are the IP division of Facebook, and those are the ones you need to hound for things to change. Yeah.
Got you. Bro, Chris, what is the future of Story, bro? What is coming next for you? Like, where do you see this going?
Yeah, so the future is really endless. That's at least how it feels right now. We are a one store operation at the moment. We have been looking to scale into Johannesburg. We were actually going to do this last year, but for a variety of different reasons, it just wasn't the right time for us to open there. Our online store continues to serve the rest of the country.
What's the split like between online and physical?
So online isn't as big as I initially had hoped.
Yeah.
And we've been trialing like different sort of strategies around online.
Yeah.
The reason online isn't big is, well, I mean, there's obviously a variety of reasons. The biggest one is in a marketplace, you've got a very limited return policy.
Got you.
Almost a non-existent return policy. Like the only way you're able to return something is if you are able to prove that we've made a mistake, which is, touch wood, never with the authenticity of a product.
Got you.
And yeah, provided it's still got each item that we ship out has a unique serial number attached to it. So if you remove that and swap it out with a fake, that's not going to work. Because you get a lot of people that are scammers, sadly. So we need to really like safeguard, like how we deal with situations like that. And then the other sort of issue is, a lot of people don't trust couriers in this country. And for good reason. The couriers get hit a hell of a lot, especially in, like cities up north. We're constantly hearing of hijacked couriers, stuff like that. And then we've got a bit of an issue there because the minute that product leaves our store, it's theoretically the customer's responsibility. And I think a lot of people are just like, for us, that's maybe not worth the risk. And then the biggest factor of it all is the product that we're selling is of premium nature, and you want to be 100% sure that this is something you want to put your hard-earned cash into. If you're spending bombs on a jacket, you want to make sure that you're going to feel good in that jacket.
100%.
And that I think the see, touch, feel, smell, senses are so important in a buying decision for so many people.
Yeah.
It is for me. Like I want everything on there in the store. And sometimes I want to walk out of the store and then new stuff. And
100%.
I just think that you really can't beat that experience that we give you, like in store, where you come in, sit, you get a bottle of water, you chill. We take care of everything you need and put together certain fits for you. We really try to educate on a level that's not like too intense, really just start to get people to understand the kind of brands that we're hanging and how these pieces will work together. And
you guys do that really, really tastefully.
So thank you, man.
It's not preachy. It's like,
it's like,
have
that. You seen this? Just try this out. Trust me, it's sick. I do think that online has a lot more potential. It's just like, I would say the majority of our online stores, our online orders are from customers that have converted in store previously.
Got you.
So we have a lot of customers like Nelspruit side or Joburg or Bloem or wherever.
They've been once, they know what they're in.
They know what they're in, and then it's just like, cool. It's like,
I think it's just early, right? I think it's still early for online. Online's sort of shaping up in South Africa in general, across the many other sectors. And, right now I wouldn't mind ordering running shoes online, but like something that's like a piece that I really care about. I'd love to come into the store and see it, feel it, like you said, see the packaging, see the box, see if I'll maybe just keep it in the cupboard forever, maybe it's just a collectible, so I think it's just a matter of time, and it's just beautiful. We're in one of the most exciting emerging markets in the world. Soon there's going to be the rest of Africa, 100%. And connected, and more online, more trade between countries, and I think it's just an exciting time.
That's definitely a big part of the future of story. we've got customers from all countries in Africa.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting for me. Like, I would love a store in Nigeria.
Amazing.
Like, I would love a store in Kenya. Like, I just having those customers come in store and interacting with them and understanding more about the like cultural differences and what like style and fashion each sort of genre, if you'd call it that, is like into is fascinating for me. And I'd love to be able to have like these little like story spots that like fit within those specific offerings that are needed in those territories. And I would love to see it like go cross border. I think like the Europes and the States and stuff, I think it's overdone. It's so saturated. But like for all of us who live in Africa and understand that getting product is difficult, there's so much opportunity around that. So I'd love to see that like in our sort of long-term growth. But sort of low-hanging fruit at the moment is really around developing the Story brand further. So through our own merchandise line that we're actively working on. We've got quite a few collabs in the pipeline with other local brands for this year.
Amazing.
We're doing something with Refuse, which
Epic.
is a super rad brand out of Durban. So we've got something we're working on with them at the moment. And I think from tomorrow we will be carrying their clothing in store.
Incredible.
Which is a little bit of a test for us. To have retail product within our space, but we've obviously we like carry all these amazing brands from all over the world, but we also have a hell of a lot of tourists that come through our doors, and like they, for that kind of customer, they want something that's local, but still within the streetwear realm. So it's quite difficult when you've got like a consignment business model and then there's a retail business model and they operate completely differently. Trying to find a sort of conversion point of how to do it together is the experiment at the moment. And I'm very excited for that. Like, I'd love to see a hybrid model in the future. We have been looking at it with a couple specific brands that would be retail, and then we'll still keep certain brands, which would allow us to have our level of curation from specific pieces, whereas you're not dictated to from a retail brand that you have to buy this, you have to sell this every time, because that's what makes things boring.
100%.
We want to avoid that at all costs.
You don't want to become just another one of those franchise sort of sneaker stores. But I think I think slow growth, and like I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing, bro. The store, the curation, the detail, the music that plays in the store, your team and who you've got there. You got some really talented dudes working at the company, and just everything, man. You're doing it so well. I mean, I keep walking in like, bro, how do I get involved in this? How do I get involved in this? But I love it, bro. And I'm excited to see where you take it, bro. And I think it's only going to get bigger, better. And, I do like the pieces you've released already with Story. And I think it's only just going to get better. And I love the idea of collaborating with local, whether it's designers or other streetwear brands or whatever it is. I think whatever you do, I know you guys are going to do it differently. And you're going to do it in your own way. And you're going to tell a story. And I think you should bring back the sneaker stories. I think it's time, man. I think it's time.
It is time. I have... it's been a hard one. It's been a hard one to find the time that's required for that level of content.
Yes.
My team keeps bugging me about it. And I know that it's like... probably the non-smartest thing that I have done.
No, well, everything has a time. You're focusing on this side.
I'm in a space where like my attention needs to be focused in other areas, and it does eat me up inside. That's I just literally, I think it was after like a Allbirds Futurecraft Adidas shoe.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I just disappeared.
Oh, crazy.
I just like, I vanished, and I got demonetized last month for not uploading anything for 2 years.
But I mean, look at what you've built in that time, you know.
No,
it's
like
crazy, bro.
I'm a firm believer of like rolling with my gut and
Yeah.
doing what I need to do. Like what I'm doing today is exactly where I need to be.
Incredible.
And I know that Sneaker Stories will be back. I mean, it's already, while we're not doing video content, Adam's been super hard writing all of our blog content, which is under Sneaker Stories. So it Sneaker Stories has kind of become the quote unquote magazine of story for the time being, and the written content is some of the best. It's better than Hypebeast. Shout out Adam, he's been doing a phenomenal job with taking it on for us, and then Joshy as well with all the visuals that go along with it. It's like, it's really good content. I think a lot of people maybe overlook it, they don't see it or notice it, but the end goal is to really bring Sneaker Stories back, but in a story space. You know, we want to tell the stories from the store. We want to tell the stories of the team that's working behind the scenes.
I love that.
We're just in this like little transition phase at the moment of like making sure our basics are all like completely waxed and kev.
Yeah.
And then it allows us for more time to like think a little bit more like creatively on how we take Sneaker Stories forward. But it'll be back.
I love that, bro. And so, bro, if anybody wants to reach you, like just come to the store. If they've got product, come straight to the store.
Straight up, yeah.
Or to reach the store, is there like an email address or anything like that?
So consignment at story.capetown is our consignment email address. Currently, we're only accepting product through the door and our Cape Town flagship, if you will. So that's 166 Batencrux Street, Cape Town.
Yeah.
The store's open Monday to Friday from 10 till 6 p.m. and then on Saturdays from 10 till 2 p.m. We've also got different hours, public holidays and December times if you are coming from Joburg or whatever. And if you are a big seller in Joburg or Durban or wherever you find yourself, and you're doing regular sizable consignments, you can reach out to us at that email address, consignment.story.capetown. And we have a separate system for out-of-town consigners. But yeah, you would have to meet sort of minimum criteria for that, because it's a lot of extra admin on top when you're not in the city.
Got you.
And as long as you have a South African bank account, you're good.
Amazing, bro. That's us. Anything else from your side, bro?
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Nah, thank you, bro.
This has been the best. I don't even know how long we've been, but just to sit and talk has been incredible.
Amazing,
so
bro.
Thank you for that opportunity, man.
My pleasure, brother.
Appreciate
Thank you so much, man. Much love, bro. I'm looking forward to everything else you're going to do. And yeah, dude, I'm very excited for the story and for where you guys are.